All right, so I hit the button. We're going live for episode 81. R.I.P. IP Divinity.
R.I.P. IP. It's so good.
Yep.
I'm just glad everybody showed up in black for the funeral today.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had to, out of respect.
Well,
So
don't start at the podcast part for a minute.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
hello.
I can't find us on the YouTube yet.
Oh. Let's see if I can. Yep. I'm on there.
Weird. It's not showing up where it normally does for me, but
Well. Let's see what's going on here.
there we go.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. Apparently we were being heard. Thank you, man.
What's up, Dark? We're doing quite well. In memoriam, everybody in black, you know.
We're in black for the funeral, dog.
Yep. I've been trying to get the raid LG stuff. People are like, oh, here's what I did. I was like, you don't need it. As long as somebody's on void, you don't need Divinity. So just trying to help the community out a little bit at a time.
I've been really upset that I haven't been invited to any of those because I've been online the last 2 weeks when you've been doing that and you don't even invite me.
No, because I just join on other people's stuff.
Well, I'm just saying.
And a lot of times it is no comms. It's just do it all by chat, in-game text chat.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah. Are you just doing like regular raids or?
Yeah. Yep.
I assume you're doing the challenges and then I get like a little bit butthurt by it, to be honest.
Oh, I haven't did this week's, but other than that, I've done the master ones.
When are you coming back? Coming back in town?
I'm in town this weekend, but next week I'll be leaving out Monday and getting back Friday.
I was wondering, next time you're in town, let's try to do like one of the escape rooms in Bonyfiddle.
That town. Is that what you meant? Where at? Bonyfiddle?
Yeah, down there on 2nd Street. They got like 5 or 6 escape rooms in there.
Oh, okay.
Let's
that sounds
try
good.
to
Yeah.
let's plan one and we'll get like Cody and another couple or something and then get like 5 or 6 of us, 7 or something, and then afterwards we can go to Patties and Pints or whatever.
Okay.
We'll get the
Should I
Dark
be
Haze to
catching
come down.
Should I be getting a flight or?
You could do. You're more than welcome. That'd be sweet. We're going to do one tomorrow evening Saturday evening up in Ashland.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Ryan's gonna have to pick me up from the airport.
Has anybody ever did a video
Huntington,
game?
West Virginia.
Has anybody did a video game themed escape room? Imagine that'd be
No.
So
pretty cool one
there's
to do.
there's not one around here that is.
Yeah.
There have been video games that have escape room vibes.
Yeah.
There's this.
Those are old school, man.
Yeah, well, there's one right now that's like it's called like Inscription or something. I want to say it's like a deck building game. That it was up for a lot of Game of the Year awards, like Indie Game of the Year award stuff last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a deck builder mixed with an escape room. This is what I've heard. I've heard it's really, really good, but I haven't played it.
Did you see how big the 4090 is? Graphics card.
Dude, how much bigger can it be than the 3080? The 3080
Dude, it's bigger than an
big
Xbox
boy.
Series S.
What?
Yeah. Have you not seen the video? This picture?
No, I haven't. Because I've been trying not to look at it so I don't get like FOMO. So I
Jay's
don't
Two
buy
Cents
one.
does a video. He has one, like he has like the measurements, so he's holding something. And he's like, "What case are you gonna get?"
I think my case would fit it. I have a Leon Lee RGB something or other case. I think it could fit it. The 3080 is excessively comfortable in it. Dark Ace knows he's the one that put it all together. He's got a D&D campaign worked out for us, by the way. Our starter campaign.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, here we go, Fox. I'll send it to you in DMs.
Okay. Discord or what?
Twitter.
Okay.
It should fit, yeah. Okay. Bite the pillow if you think that's going to fit.
Or that is YouTube inappropriate.
That's so dumb. That is so dumb.
Yep.
The size of a PS5.
Yep.
All right, we ready to go live?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, give me talk so I can
I'm talking
make
right
sure
now.
you're coming through.
Yep.
Wiggle,
Yep.
wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah.
And we're demonetized now.
Oh yeah, I forgot we're on YouTube.
Clicking the button. Eyes up, Guardians. We are live for episode 81 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, October the 6th, and I am the Destiny bad boy, not Ryan Fox, here with my fire team, who all of you CCBs know by now. Jared.
As you've seen by the name of the episode, Wall in Black, you know that the Divinity nerf has been talked about too much, and eventually it's come around. And Bungie claims they had it in the works before it ever blew up on social media or a content creator ever talked about it. But here we are, and we know that Fox is skeptical of it, but I think it was needed. And how they come up with the idea, I guess we'll leave that up for discussion.
And the chronicler himself, chadocero.
I for one wholeheartedly accept our new overlord. What's the tractor cannon?
Oh,
He will be our Lord and Savior.
yeah.
And I've already got it locked and loaded.
And make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe so we can trick the algorithm. Turn on notifications, yada, yada, yada. Click the bell. I'm not real sure. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us Bungie friend requests. Join the Discord server. We finally got a real TWAB. Just want everybody to know that I did tweet at the Dirty Effing Hippie and invited her to come hang out with us tonight. And since she finally delivered, we've been getting some pretty thin TWABs, in my opinion. The past couple of weeks, we finally got a kind of a juicy one here. But before we get to all that, we need to take a moment of silence in remembrance of our sweet prince, the Divinity. R.I.P. IP 10/5/19 to 10/6/22. We didn't deserve you at your best, and now we will never use you since you are at your worst.
All right, if you got questions, this TWAB has answers for you, because that is bulk of this TWAB is questions and answers from the weapons team. But before we get to that point, there's some bans that went out earlier this week, and a lot of people saying they got banned wrongfully, they got banned for no reason at all. So here's some key points to keep in mind for people when they say they say they got banned. So the number of accounts caught cheating in ways are much larger than the ones impacted by the mistake that Bungie accidentally implemented earlier this week. So out of those people they accidentally got banned, there's only 60 of those accounts. So you can do the math on Twitter and how many people are saying that they falsely got banned, and you're probably going to realize they got banned for a reason. And then whenever they get banned for unwrongly get banned by Bungie, they usually within 24 hours of the first indication of the problem. Anyone who has appealed the ban and has been unbanned for the ones that got wrongfully banned in the first place. And there are several ways of detecting cheating in Destiny 2, and those that who are wrongfully unbanned and banned happen sometimes, but they go back and they fix it and they correct their mistakes. So they've taken this lesson and they're not implementing this again. It was kind of human error why this happened, but overall, for the people that's still scared about using their Cronoses and their XMs, they're still okay for now, but they're probably next step on the board.
So you guys actually believe this as to what happened?
Yeah, I think they had some kind of algorithm what they picked, and it didn't like the people. I think this is like a net limiting thing that they talked about.
Allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chad, what about you?
Oh, you know my answer. Whatever is the opposite of yours, typically.
That's you right there. That's your answer.
I don't know. You're the one that did it.
This is Bungie, and this is you, right here. So I personally think that somebody went in. I think this is a bad actor going in. Remember how we had the all the bans, like copyright stuff coming out before? I think that in a couple months, something's going to come out, and it's going to be like, hey, we had somebody that was going in and doing this, because they were hitting like the guy that did the D2 gunsmith, and he like retired because of it, more or less. I think like that was more of the straw that broke the camel's back, as opposed to like the only reason he retired. And they hit our boy Shifty's favorite streamer, Lucky 10p, and he got hit, and he's been crying for like 4 days on Twitter. I want an apology. I think you should give an apology. This is $1 billion company, and they banned somebody wrongfully, and I want an apology. Like sorry. Does it really mean that much to you that somebody says sorry? Like, man, this fan base lately, man, they are really entitled and really crybabies.
Mm-hmm. I almost rather wish they would shadow ban people like they do in Call of Duty. You just can never find a match.
Just put them on make them always play each other.
Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah. That's the world I someday hope to live in.
All right, now it's time for some question and answers. So the title of this in the TWAB is Weapons, I Am Your Father. This is the system's design team, probably. So that is definitely called a Star Wars. And as you all know, that Mercules joined the Destiny team, and he has a deep love for Star Wars, and I think they tried to trickle
Between
that
two
into...
suns.
Yep, they try to...
Between Two Suns, right?
Yeah, that's
his podcast that they do?
Yep. Beneath Twin Suns is the actual name. And...
thanks, Jared.
Yeah, I listen. So... anytime Star Wars is in there, I always think of Mercury's involved, and most of the time, yes, he is. So we're gonna get up first here with some general questions. So when full auto setting arrives for weapons, is a full auto trigger system mod and as an option, and has also with a full auto retrofit, like regular mod, like will it be going away? So, no, that mod will not be going away. What this does is going to be a in your options on in your settings, you can turn on full auto or not, and it will keep it on at all times. So you're not going to be able to specify which weapons that you want it to have it on. So like if you switch to a sidearm and you want it on, you have to go into your settings, turn it on, or just pop the mod back in. Now there's some exotics that have full auto trigger, and those will get a perk replacement. So Traveler's Chosen's getting surplus, Vigilant Swing is getting ensemble, and symbol, and then No Time to Explain is getting Feeding Frenzy. So that's good for the most part that they're changing those out. No Time to Explain is going to get mentioned later on here, which is a menace for the most part.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
All right, Divinity. Now, we've talked about this a little bit. You can probably see it on Twitter every couple of days. It always pops back up in my feed anyways. People start adding salt to Grippo again, or trying to pull Dado in some way about it. So
It's definitely Dado's fault.
it all started with him. So encounters are built around players having access to being able to weaken, and many folks have theorized this. We don't believe that Divinity in its current form is actually a balanced problem and isn't too strong in isolation. That said, Divinity is incredibly dominant in in-game PvE because it trivializes aiming precision weapons and has extremely high uptime for weaken. The most important issue is that Divinity granting 30% weaken sucks the air out of the room for all other weakened sources, such as Tether and Tractor Cannon. And we don't want to power creep past Divinity by making them interesting. So with this in mind, we've been looking at Divinity for a while now, and they have tested a variety of changes in season 19 and over the past few months, landing on Divinity's weaken from 30% to now 15%, what it's going to be when this patch comes through. So that 15% is what your smoke nade is as a hunter, what the suppressing grenade is on Void. I think that's the two. Sundering Glare is also 15%. So it just falls in line with the easier debuffs to PvE activities and enemies. So that just leaves Tether and Tractor Cannon as being the 30%. All right, Fox. We all know that you are the div boy for our team. How are you feeling about this?
The div god. The div god.
I think it starts with a B.
So I get it. I know we kind of did a joke. Black for the funeral, moment of silence, R.I.P. IP. I get it. It was too much. We always knew it was too much. It's not that hard to see why they're doing what they're doing. However, I think it's for them to say it's something they've been looking at for several seasons, and it to come like 2 to 3 weeks after the giant uproar. It's just a bad look. And even though it probably was being looked at, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that something needed to change. It just looks bad because now every casual / non-content creator / non-streaming player can be like, oh, Bungie just caters to the top 1% of the player base and does exactly what they want. And that's not a good look. I think in the end, 15% is probably fair. Maybe 20, maybe. I mean, is there that big of a difference? I mean, I know it's 5%, so you can literally quantify how big of a difference it is. But, if somebody's given up their DPS and say it's 20%, then I wouldn't be opposed to that. Maybe it should be more than a smoke grenade or whatever from the hunters or the suppressed grenade. But in the end, it probably needed to happen just because of how you no longer had to really aim. You didn't need to really be a precision aimer because of the cage that came around. I would like to see how much the Garden of Salvation, like the runs of it per week. I'd like to see how much it drops once this comes into effect. And honestly, outside of like a raid of 5 players plus a new guy, and the new guy can use div, just be like if they don't have other weapons. I really don't know when you would use Divinity any longer. So
there's certain
it is what it is.
There's certain bosses I would still want somebody using it on. So that's Ralk and then Taniks. Because Taniks, whenever
Ralk, I can understand because Ralk's moves around, and Taniks, because it puts the cage beneath him, and it's just too easier.
He hides his crit spot
time to damage
as the DPS face is moving on. It's
He,
really
like,
built.
ducks-
It's
ducks
built
his
around
head and stuff.
Yeah. And those, I believe, those 2 bosses are built around having Divinity. Like if they didn't have Divinity,
Yeah,
those
clearly.
bosses wouldn't be the same the way they were. So
Right. Yeah, but I think at the end, weren't we 1 damage phasing Taniks?
that was with the linear fusion, the fusion rifle crazy season, where it's that debuff stacked with Divinity.
Gotcha. So it's probably like a 2-phase then.
Yeah.
And then Rock's probably going to turn into a 3-phase instead of a 2-phase, you think?
Nah. Not.
You think he's
it
still a
shouldn't be.
2-phase?
I'd be upset with us if he's a 3-phase. I'd be mad.
Well, with our team, it should be a 2-phase. You guys better get it together. But think about Oryx. That's no longer Divinity. Probably the encounter before Oryx would still be Divinity, just because they kind of bob and weave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to turn into, from, instead of it being every boss, it's going to turn into bosses that have very difficult to hit crit spots. And with that, if you have 4 out of 5 people that are skilled, or 5 out of 6 people that are skilled, you'd probably be better off not using Divinity. I would still think Divinity would come in helpful for, because it has the intrinsic overload.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be some nightfalls. It's going to be pretty handy because it's like an instant overload and puts a crit spot on it. And with the stun, and you're probably still going to be able to kill like the hobgoblins and stuff. Like I'm thinking of like Lake of Shadows.
Yep.
Probably still be pretty helpful there. So it's going to be less of a every time use. It's going to be a little bit more specific. I imagine Arbalist is going to be the next one that gets hit a little bit, if I had to guess. Just because right now it's Arbalist, linear fusion rifle, and your energy weapon is going to be whatever matches the other champion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty set in stone. So don't be surprised if we see that coming up soon. But Divinity has become much more limited in its usage, and probably not a bad thing overall, like in all honesty, but it looks bad because I don't really think they've been looking at it for the past few seasons. Like the gun's done the same thing for 3 years.
Yep.
At this point. So like really it just so happens you were looking at it before all the controversy came out and everything. Like it just doesn't add up.
The only saving grace there is that Mercules was on Massive Breakdowns like a month before Salt put out that tweet. And he said they're looking at Divinity then. Yeah.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, it's like I said, it's not a huge surprise.
Yeah.
Anybody that plays the end game a lot understands why they're doing what they're doing. I think it's just a bad look because the amount of people that listen to Destiny podcasts compared to the amount of people that play Destiny,
Yeah.
like you're getting like the Venn diagrams there are getting, there's not a whole lot of overlap there.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, they can always buff it, but probably it'll stay at 15% forever and never be touched. I think about like the Golgoroth encounter where I do a lot of the gaze stuff with it. I've been using Tractor Cannon the last few weeks to try to help with that, and it'll be different, but there'll still be something to do. So I'm excited. I think it'll be nice to mix it up a little bit, but I don't imagine outside of like one encounter per raid now that you'll use Divinity, or unless it's like a GM Nightfall.
All right, moving on. After Lightfall, they are going to be taking a look at kinetic damage type weapons and trying to give them a better feel inside the game, because they don't get busts from all these whale builds that we're doing now. And if Bungie ever introduces another kind of mod system again, like usually kinetic weapons kind of get left out in creating and like getting shield chargers and stuff like that. Adept raid weapon viability. So as it stands, crafted raid weapons are flat out better than adept raid weapons, and they're not happy about the current state of that. And so they have some changes coming in Lightfall that will give you the new Lightfall raid adept weapons access to enhanced perks. So this is not going to be a full free form of crafting, but it's going to be a little more complex. So they're going to give us more information later on when it comes closer to Lightfall release of how that system is going to work. I think that's overall a plus for the most part, because these last two raids, like grinding out the master, is kind of no reason to do it until you get the title. Get the title, then like you never touch the master raid for the most part. Future plans for exotic champion weapons. So right now they have nothing in the works to add anti-champion mechanics to any of the existing exotic weapons. So the goal of recent additions was to address the obvious holes in options available, and they're happy with that way that worked out. So that kind of leads back to the Arbalist. So I guess they're kind of happy with the way the Arbalist worked out, but they are actually building more anti-champion functionality into the new exotic weapon that's coming in Season 19, and they may revisit other weapons later on if they see the need to. Kingsfall weapons also have a different kind of perk pool. There's usually like some double columns of damage dealing and stuff like that. So they're like, is that going to continue moving forward? Yes, they're going to give, they call like the highest tier of weapons that you can get is out of raids and out of trials. So they get what they call the spiciest perk pools for the weapons, and then it kind of goes down after that. So raids, potentially some trials weapons, are like going to have the best or the most unique weapon combos for perks. And there's going to be some raid perks coming to the game that's like no longer in the game. So to me, that reminds of reconstruction and recombination and redirection from Deepstone Crypt. That's a pretty much that's like the oldest raid I think with unique perks that it came out of. So look for those to start flowing into other weapons, maybe starting next season. Zur sold a pulse rifle with a masterwork of an accuracy to say like you could like level up the accuracy of the weapon. However, this has no they don't make the gun more accurate. So in order for a masterwork to work on a weapon, it has to have that stat presented on the weapon. So accuracy is not a perk on that weapon. Accuracy would only work for bows. And then speaking of bows, stuff like rapid hit that increases your stability will also increase the perfect draw window. We should be seeing more perks like Headstone, Chill Clip, and Incandescent on weapons about their individual flavor. We just got Volt Shot this season. We got Repulsive Brace on Void, which I feel like not that many people use, and I don't care that much for it. I think there's some Titan builds out there for that. Again, that's where you get the overshield by breaking by killing a void debuffed enemy. This is a big one about are we going to have multiple perks in each column on crafted weapons? They're investigating this and for a possible future release, but it's more complicated task than it appears at first glance. Nothing set in stone for the future, but they're going to keep looking deeper into this. So they did not say, yes, we'll get more than one perk to pick on our crafted weapons. Some of this stuff I'm going to skip over because it's pretty mind-numbing, and we know how the game works. Right now, they're reworking 20 exotic weapons for Season 19. That is a mix of buffs and nerfs, and a couple of weapons of note would be Lord of Wolves, Legend of Acarius, and there's going to be a lot more to cover that going forward. We're going to talk about the difference of reprising a weapon from Destiny 1 and bringing it over to Destiny 2. So the way Destiny 2 is now, there's so many engine reworks in the game that it's basically recreating a weapon from scratch whenever they bring a weapon over from Destiny 1. So why take something that we've already gotten or used in another previous game and we could just make something new instead that we've never had.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they mean like that the weapons and the gun, like the gun model that's already been created, and the color scheme on the gun that's already been created, and how it takes shaders and all that's already been created, and the name of the weapon and the archetype of the weapon's already been created, but it takes just as much time to create a new weapon as it does to do that. I believe that 100%.
So they was also asked what was their favorite weapon perk combination. So this is something to pay attention because these are the people that design the weapons, so they know what combinations work best for the game and probably output the most damage or feel the best. So first up is Chris Proctor. He wants perpetual motion surrounded on sidearms and SMGs. Brandon wants heating up with Rampage on pulse rifles. Vivian wants stats for all plus reservoir burst on fusion rifles. That's probably one for Chad. Alex the intern, Grave Romber plus Golden Tricorn on arc weapons for PvE. And then Killing Wind and Rangefinder on SMGs for PvP. Mercury's 904, moving target or perpetual motion with kill clip on any primary weapon in PvP. That sounds great for you, Merc, because you can get 5.0s and just keep rolling over lobbies. So kill clip's great for you. George, perpetual motion and killing wind. He says he blames 90s arena shooters for that. So
Doom, Wolfenstein.
Yep.
So listen, like, as many reskins are in this game,
Yeah.
like the same weapon model and this and that.
Yeah.
Do they really expect us to believe that it takes the same amount of time
to bring a weapon that we haven't had, and that we don't have in Destiny 2 that wasn't Destiny 1?
I mean, if you believe it, that's fine. I personally don't believe it. I think there is some time changing. I think there is some difference. I'm not saying it's significant. I deep down I believe it's probably significant. But I mean, if it wasn't that way, then why would they keep bringing back all these weapons from Destiny 1?
Well, I think they want to get back some of the player base that remember those Destiny 1 weapons.
Yeah, you think somebody's coming back for IS Luna?
Maybe a couple, but yeah, not that many.
Right.
No, so, I think the Fatebringer and stuff like that brought some people back.
You think they're still here?
No, it was here at once.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were here for a couple, like 50 hours, 40 hours. You know.
Mm-hmm. That's still. I mean,
I don't know, man.
That's a stat on their like seasonal stat tracker.
Yeah,
How many people
it's
they
just
played
that
the
they
season.
throw at us whenever they do these TWABs that have less than 500 words in them, and it's like we're seeing an increase in this, and this is how we're justifying skill-based matchmaking, and we have an 11% increase in player base, but they don't tell you any stats. They also don't mention that they put the game out, they put a map in Fortnite in, and they put Fortnite skins in, and they've done all this stuff to bring other players in, and they opened up the Epic Game Store, and they made Epic Game Store free to have the anniversary collection, and all this and that. And it's just, I feel like if you really want to think about it, back since the Bungie Sony takeover officially happened, we've got bullshit TWABs, and we've also got Bungie's, their communication has lacked, and we've had all this stuff happening, and they don't talk to us the same that they used to.
Yep, I do agree that has happened. However, I'm going to take the positive look on it, that they were heads down on Lightfall.
Right.
Until Lightfall, until Lightfall proves.
The other game they were working on that they shoehorned into Destiny.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Oh. But it's fine. I still enjoy my time with the game. Mostly, I feel like the seasonal model, which we've talked about for hours and hours and hours at this point, is just a grind to make you stay playing the game every week. And they give you 25 minutes of content for the story each week. And then, you do your seasonal challenges and your bounties. You do your Destiny chores so you can be able to play GMs and master raids when they come out. But otherwise, man, it's there's not since we beat the campaign and beat the raid the first time of the Witch Queen. What has dropped that's been really substantial? What, the dungeon, I guess, kind of?
Dungeon for me, it's quite just, but I love dungeons. But
yeah,
I kind of prefer them over raids. Like, I would rather just have one raid a year and have 2 extra dungeons if that's what the math worked out to be. But
right now we're getting 2 raids and 2 dungeons. So
yeah.
You're saying you'd rather have 1 raid and 4 dungeons?
Yeah.
Dungeon a season? I'd be down with that.
Because our friend group and the people we raid with, they only really come back around for the big raid. For the most part, like that's when most people is playing the game.
Right.
And then,
with the new expansion.
Yep, with the new expansion.
Yep.
All right, so something to watch out for here is they're taking a nerf to rangefinder. What the nerf is going to be, it's not going to push out the additional aim assist drop off. So yes, rangefinder buffs your range, but it also right now buffs your aim assist farther out, and they're taking that away. So it's they're kind of seeing it too much on too many weapons. So I know there's a lot of crafted all stringers out there with enhanced rangefinder that might get switched off. All right, a lot of pulse rifle, fusion rifle talk about like perks and stuff like that. Really not that exciting. However, skill-based matchmaking and how they handle it, balancing weapons going forward. So now that they kind of got people grouped up with the relative skill, they're seeing how there's a different distribution of what skills use what weapons and how those play out. And that leads them to also talking about sniper rifle and special little fusion rifle flinch, and they're taking another pass at that moving forward. They're going to up the amount of time it takes for a sniper rifle reticle to come back down after it gets flinched. But however, they're super giving it a buff in PvE to reduce the amount of flinch that you get with sniper rifles. So that's good overall for the game. Like, I'm fine with PvP getting flinched with sniper, but if I'm trying to shoot a drag to get a bounty done, like, I shouldn't get flinched off its head. Again, next season we get a shotgun pellet spread rework that make them more consistent. And that's kind of the most that we're really going to be going in to the answers and questions about. Any highlights you think I passed over, or anything that's really stuck out to you of what they called out?
No trace rifle bloom as you hold down the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the only one. That's not really like a huge thing because trace rifles aren't used a lot, especially now that Divinity's down. I'm sure it's going to go down 85%.
Yeah.
So I don't imagine. I don't really think you really skipped anything.
Okay.
That was too major. So I know I saw the stuff about fusion rifle changes that could potentially be coming. Specifically the rapid fire frame that they mentioned, and I thought of Chad. But it says we want to see how the shotgun changes land before we rebuff rapid fire frames. So that was really the only other thing.
Yeah, that was mainly only main ingredient. They're like, this one is an outlier in its family, and something has to happen to it, but we want to see what happens. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Zur ingredient.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's because guess what? You gave everybody a really good one. And that's fine. The reason they're using it is because they delete every other one, like without even thinking about it. Just fusion rifle, delete,
Mm-hmm.
delete,
Yep.
delete. And they're like, well, I have the Zur one. It's good. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why everyone's using it. Because it's the only one they got.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens there. Having a more differentiation in each sub family would be good. I think it's necessary, but I don't know what they're gonna do. So we'll see. You hit everything else though on the all the really good important stuff anyway.
All right. Bungie's also heading to San Diego and for TwitchCon this weekend.
Wells vagina.
Correct. And
That's what it means.
visitors that stop by the Bungie booth has a chance to take home an exclusive Bungie Foundation TwitchCon pin as well as a brand new Destiny emblem. So if you're out there going or close by, chat, stop into the booth and you might get an exclusive emblem and pin for showing your support.
Yeah, all that stuff that they give away, emblems and everything. They finally have one that's kind of exclusive, and it requires us to be like 3,000 miles away or something, Jared.
Yep.
From where we can get it.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Just a reminder, Festival Lost is coming up this month. It's starting on the 18th, and my wife was like, "Hey, I'm coming back and playing Destiny on the 18th because she likes to collecting candy and go turn it in and getting loot for it." And it's just like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, have these little festivals bring people into the game. So mark that down on your calendars for the 18th.
Was that Jurassic Green? Was that a Festival of the Lost Weapon last season?
Yes.
Yep.
That was the pulse from last season. Yeah.
It was like kind of good, right? It was based on the Lincoln Green, I want to say.
Yeah. I believe so. I believe it was decent.
You could get
But I
like
never got a
demo
good one.
Adagio combo together.
Yeah.
A demo Adrenaline Junkie. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, that is it for the TWAB this week. Good job by Hippie and the crew over at Bungie. So hopefully this trend continues. I'm not sure we'll be getting this long a Q&A session, but just drop us, a Hershey Kiss every now and then. We don't need something like big to chew on. We need something sweet just to pacify us over for a little while until the next week.
We'll get 2 more decent ones. We'll get one before Thanksgiving, and then they're going to take a break. And then we'll get one in the middle of December before they break for Christmas. And then it's going to be silence after that, I would say.
You think that's when they drop the big Strand article?
Nope. No, that'll be in the new year. It's got to be closer to February. When is this game allegedly coming out, the next expansion?
February 28th.
That ain't happening. So probably, I would say 6 weeks before the launch. So if you really believe the game's coming out February 28th, you're looking at January 14th or January 16th probably. And if you're like me and think it's going to get pushed, then you're probably looking around Valentine's Day.
All right, there you go for the TWAB. Now it's time for 3 likes and dislikes. So I'll go ahead and start us off here with my like. Might be a little tongue in cheek. I don't know. I am 0 for 21 for Touch of Malice. And I'm okay with it. I actually like this because it's like, all right, next week I need to go run some more King's Fall. It's actually like it's pretty easy raid
It's
through
super fun.
Pretty easy raid through LFG now. A lot of people's got the call outs done for in-game text chat. So like I don't know what it is with the PC crowd, but we just hate being in voice chat with a bunch of people we don't know. So it just anything you can do just to have text chat and not have to actually talk to other human beings.
Whatever it takes. My like this week is that I think last like Friday, Saturday, I was able to put like 6 to 8 hours in, and I think I went from like low level 60 to like level 98 on the season pass by doing seasonal challenges. Doing all those seasonal challenges has brought me back to over 10,000 bright dust. So that's kind of nice. You know, don't have to really stop and think so much, which normally if I want something bad enough, I'll just buy silver. Like I don't care to spend the silver on the game, but having the bright dust is kind of nice to look at it that way.
And my like is that Jared has fully committed to the denial phase of raid RNG. That isn't my like, but I think I'm changing it to that. My previous like was that seasonal content should be over next week. Next week being the 8th week of the season, and us getting the last piece of Nezarec, stuff should actually happen next week. So, we'll see what that happens there. So that's actually something lore wise that's happening that hasn't happened in the last 4 weeks. So that's exciting. And my dislike is this season's pointless triumph bloat. There are a ton of triumphs, and it's become more apparent. I'm a completionist, and I hate that I'm like that, but I have to check every little box, even if it only gives me 5 triumph score, as Jared always puts it. So, well, it's only worth 5 triumph score, man. Like, why are you gonna do it, huh? Because I have to. Okay. But like celebrating with your crew 100 times,
A lot.
bruh. That's
It's a lot of
100
catchcraft.
after you get that that thing where you can celebrate.
Bottom row, first column, right?
Yeah. But like, if you thought that was unimportant, oh well. And then all the expedition champs, like, there's so many triumphs that are just like, just play a lot. It's like, I don't want to. It's not even something like you can try to like grind it out. It's like, no, it's literally just sitting there and playing this over and over and over again, getting a 1 per completion. And for the champs, maybe even getting a 0 in expedition, because there's some people that just steamroll everything, and it's like, dude,
Dude, I was playing with someone that took one of the treasures and threw it across the map on purpose, so it would extend the encounter so they were the champion would spawn.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I do that.
I put on the Eagle Edge Sword and I griefed him the entire rest of the time. You make me waste my time, I'm wasting the rest of yours.
Yeah. Well, see, I do that when they purposefully, like, if a champion spawns in the first row or in the first one, and then they like make it despawn, I'm like, all right. I'm gonna pull the griefing just like Jared does on the inverse. I'm gonna reverse it back on you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna grab every single thing and throw it.
You have to be inefficient for that to spawn. That's not the way the game should operate.
It's on
It
it's
isn't.
on
No, it
what,
isn't.
like a 3 minute? Is it on a 3 minute timer? I think I read, and
Yeah.
if it takes you 3 minutes to do it, then you're doing it wrong or not doing it right. So I don't know, man. But
The people have theorized on the timer, because I've had it spawn super fast when I'm barely at 50%. Like, boom, there it is, and I'm like, wait, what?
Be
like,
careful
did
with
they
your eager
increase
edge thoughts. There was a mailbag question sent in about it, so don't ruin it here. My dislike is other people who like Destiny. Like, getting on Twitter has been really hard the past week. because I follow a lot of Destiny people, and they are just, man, they're just babies. Just call it what it is. They're just huge babies and think the entire world is owed to them. And it's a hard, I've stopped going to Twitter because of Destiny people this past week.
Yeah, it can be tough, and a lot of times people are putting stuff out there to get interactions with people on Twitter. It's not just like it might be their opinion, and they're like, oh, I can stretch this out in a way to this get people just commenting back and trying
Get
to
the engagement.
Yep. Stuff that we don't really do very much,
No, that's because we have a spine to us. We have a backbone.
Yeah.
Unless Coors Light wants to sponsor us, and then it's whatever you guys want. We're in at that point.
Yep. My dislike is that Glassway is pretty easy now as a Grandmaster. I was like, oh, it's double loot drops. Let's go get a DFA. And just first time, no comms, LFG, beat it. And I remember we spent what? Like more than one night, a couple nights probably clearing that the first time.
I want to say it took us 2 evenings, probably 3 runs each evening.
Yep. I want to say that's about
and
right.
Yeah, I think it took us 5 or 6 like solid attempts into the boss room to kind of get a feel for that. And remember back then everybody was still trying to cheese it by going to the right side and jumping down in the hole or whatever.
Yeah.
But once we just started not doing that, we were fine. Basically damaging the boss to the health gate to spawn the next wave of enemies and then stopping. Once we started doing that, we were in good shape.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, probably like Friday or Saturday, we will do our GM run, and we'll have that up. We'll do a live YouTube thing, and then we'll do a condensed one as well. That's just like the actual full run, as opposed to if it takes us more than once. So be on the lookout for that.
All right, now it's time for weapons breakdown. Nothing crazy here, as there's only not many weapons that we need to talk about that are new. So the ones we got left is the trials weapons. So first up here is Whistler's Whim, which is a stasis lightweight bow. So a lot of people kind of excited about this bow because you can get kill clip on that last column. So short and sweet for me, and that for PvP, I want moving target with kill clip if I'm going to use this bow in PvP, which I probably wouldn't, for the most part, ever be using a bow in PvP. Next, PvE, I would do rapid hit with Adrenaline Junkie, because you could keep Adrenaline Junkie procced and keep it reprocking on itself kill clip. Like, you can't keep it continuously procced without doing some weapon swapping and stuff. So that's why I wouldn't do kill clip for PvE. Next up is the Inquisitor. I just think of Star Wars when I see the Inquisitor. This is what happens in Rebels. It's what's going on. And a lot of the other newer shows with Kenobi and the disciples of Vader. So it makes me think of this slug. So it's an arc slug shotgun. And PvE, I'm going to go corkscrew, assault mag, demolitionist with golden tricorn. And then PvP, fluted, accurized, perpetual motion, opening shot. PvP wise, an arc slug shotgun really don't get much better than that. Well, so if you're one of those high skilled PvP players and you get an adept version of the Inquisitor, you're sitting pretty good with that roll. Now, firstly, an arc slug shotgun, everybody knows and probably already has a first in last out with like auto-loading holster.
Below.
Yeah. Auto-loading holster and Vorpal, which that doesn't really come with a clear. The Inquisitor doesn't come with like a constant PvE damage in that last column. So that's why PvE is more of an ad clear than a boss damage. And next up is Gambling Corner, Fox.
Boy.
Gambling corner. Chad is still leading, and we all suck, and none of us have earned the right to get the touch of malice. So we are continuing that, as well as the we have a ante going currently for the winner gets. I think we had said, what was it, 5,000 or 2,000?
Oh, we're betting 2, all of us.
I thought we had bet 5. I think that seems more fair, more interesting.
Oh, so okay, so somebody's, well, most likely could be 2 of us are down to 3K.
Could be.
All right.
Sorry, so we'll do 5K. Everybody antes in 5K, so that brings Jared and I to 3K apiece. Chad to 9K. And the first run of the Glassway Grandmaster, the least amount of deaths. The person that has the least amount of deaths is awarded the all of, so I guess they would get their 5 back plus 10 plus 5 apiece from the other players. Personally, if Jared starts doing that eager edge bull crap,
I won't have a
it
sword
should
on.
not count. So,
I won't have
well,
one
I
on.
hope you wouldn't. You know, we hope you
I'm
won't.
not ignorant.
I'm not ignorant. So that's the plan for that. So we have everybody antes 2K. The first person to get touch of malice gets that money. Everybody enters 5K, least amount of deaths on the Glassway GM. The winner gets that amount of money, which takes us to Half Baked Takes, our newest segment that we have going on. Basically, it is takes that aren't full-blown hardcore takes. You know, you've kind of taken a little bit of time to think about them, but you don't have it completely nailed down. And so I think it's Chad's week for Half-Baked Takes. So, Chad, what do you got for us?
Okay, so I haven't played a lot of games that are really guild heavy. Like, I've played a lot of Xbox games, and I've played like as a part of a clan or something like that. And it's mostly just like being in the squad, but it doesn't really mean too much as far as like shooters and stuff go. It's just like, oh, here's a pool of people that you could easily pull from if you need an extra person to do X, Y, Z, you know, kind of thing. So I haven't played a lot of like real MMORPGs where like you're setting up times to get, 30, 40 people on to play some WoW and do a real deal raid, or like really go to town on some stuff. And I've never done any of that. But I think like a private space, like a guild hall, would suit really well in Destiny. We kind of have the helm, but that is, it's kind of a public space, but not, because you have to be in a party to go there. You can max out to 6, but like having a guild hall that you can it can represent all the raids that the guild's done as a squad. Like if a squad in the raid has a full squad member of clan members has done a raid, you get the trophy on the wall, and it can have like whatever there. But like you load in and it's like a tower space where only your specific clan members can go. So like a tower instance, like 20 people roaming about. There's like a bounty board where you can grab stuff, but you still have to go to Zavala to pick up engrams and stuff. You can go to a cryptarch and decrypt some stuff, maybe an umbral thing to do some umbral stuff, but that, that's more tied to seasons now. But and move Hawthorne in there. She doesn't need to be in the tower anymore. She's useless over there. Just, give her a big room where the hawk can fly about freely. Just seeing a hawk just circling, um, and like a firing range in the guild hall.
Right.
Okay.
Like, just add some stuff that you can do. You know what I mean?
I always thought it would be cool if, like, you know how like right now we get armor that is just not quite as good as what you have that you're never going to use. Why can't we like offer that to people in our clan? Like put it in, or even like this is probably a little further than Chad was thinking, but like an auction house to where like if you get boots out of the raid and you don't need the boots, you can put them up to be auctioned.
I think a guild box would be fine. Like throw them in the guild box. If nobody picks them up in like 2 days, then you have a choice of either getting them back or getting glimmer and legendary
Get
shards.
your legendary shards.
Yeah. So like you throw them in the box, and if somebody picks them up that day, awesome. They get some good boots and some infusion fuel if they need the help. And then that might be hard with infusion. Because if you hit pin cap and you just start throwing pinnacle cap stuff in there.
Yeah. So I see
do
what
like
y'all
the
doing,
idea.
like helping people out when they start the game. And
Yeah.
what I think you could do then is like as a guild, let's just say you play so many PvP matches and like the better devils is there for everybody in the clan to go pick up one. So like it's like a static role of like, all right, as a clan you play 150 games of Crucible. And for that season you unlock Better Devils and it's in your clan hall. So no matter what, everybody can go get a Better Devils.
That'd be pretty rad.
Yeah. It's like a better version of the
and since we have
thing we got.
Since we have crafting, it could be a craftable version or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because then that would allow them to like not make it super overpowered to where if you were in a clan and it didn't do much. And it's like weekly clan lockout. It sucks for people that are in smaller clans, not so much us. Like, I mean, we always get all our rank ups and we always have our engrams and all that stuff, which is super nice. But some people are in like 4, 5, 6 person clans is all that's active. And they're locked out at like, what is it, like 100,000 you can earn towards the stave until like the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Then you have unlimited you can earn in order to get the upgrades. So that's something that would be nice to be addressed. And I don't think it should necessarily be, Chad, what were you thinking? Like the clan founder or like the clan admins were the ones that were able to choose what was displayed in the certain areas? Because, right now we're in season 17 or 18 or something.
Yeah. Well,
so you would think that you would have to if you have a trophy case, you would have to limit it to like 4 or 5 things, and who gets to decide that?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, because each instance is odd in that they can choose to make individual players see individual things on their screen, so they can see whatever they want. So, like, you can see the trophies for like say Vault of Glass, and if you hadn't played it with the clan yet, it just shows you the team that cleared it the most recently as a 6-man guild squad,
or who had the flawless run
your
of
last team clear. If you wanted to, if you cleared it with a squad, or like if you guys did a flawless one, it'll have it'll be extra sparkle. But like that'd be up to like, each individual player can, like it kind of goes to your triumphs specifically. Kind of like how like in the first season of this what was it, season of the Risen, where if you play far enough into the story, Saladin's axe is next to the table. But if you don't play far enough in, it isn't. But if I load into an instance with someone that hasn't gotten that far, the axe is there for me, but it isn't for them.
Not for them.
Yeah. Exactly. So like I can see a trophy that'll have all of our names on it for like Conqueror for this season. Or like just Vault of Glass, Vow, all the ones that we've done as a squad,
Yeah, I like where your head's at there. I think that would be cool. I know there's been a lot of talk about a clan hall or something like that for a while. Like you, Chad, I've also came from Xbox, came to PC in the last 3 or so years, like Shadowkeepish, and only really played Destiny and like 1 or 2 other games on PC. Otherwise, only experience is with the Xbox. So I think it'd be cool. I know my brother-in-law's Dark Haze has told me some super cool stuff about that they did in WoW with the clans, and I know you had kind of mentioned like 30-person raids and all that. It'd be really cool to get that someday, but I feel like we're pretty far away from that, unfortunately.
Yeah, good idea, Chad. I like it.
Yeah.
Only thing I could see that what would happen is like people were like, if it in a way that like anybody could decorate or like how to decorate or something like that. Like people will come in just to only want to decorate the area, but don't play the game. There's like a lot of games out there. It's just like, oh, you go collect stuff, go decorate. But like, I feel like that could cause some issues inside of clans and guilds.
Yeah. Like I said, it's got to be set to each individual. Like I can only see what I see, and Ryan sees what he sees, and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right.
But like it shows a generic one if you're part of the clan but haven't done X activity. Just so you know, the clan does like they do Vault of Glass, we do Vow, we do the other raids, so you can see, oh, this team is the last team that cleared it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. All right, Chad. Hopefully you still got some words banked up for it's time for the lore and a little more conspiracy.
More going back to the conspiracy board, baby. We're still not at the end of the season, so I'm not going to talk about any of the lore books yet. Next week we will start digging into some of them. Depending on just how juicy next week is, I'm hoping that it's like a medium, like a ooh twist, and then we move on. Because if it's something crazy, it's I'm like, I wish it happened earlier so I had something to talk about these 2 weeks. But we'll see how it happens there. Otherwise, we're just going to start going into some of the books that we got this season. But I kind of want to talk about a little bit about Throne Worlds in particular. Now I kind of had a thought, because last week I was talking about Nezarec, and I talked about how he was kind of hive-ish and stuff like that, and my buddy Fred, who we raided with day one for Vow, showed me his conspiracy board, and I'm like, that's a good point. I kind of like, I'm like, I feel like I like that idea a lot. And then we both started just expanding on it completely and putting our pins on the board and putting our red yarn in between them. And I'm like, Nezarec, hey, that's for Ryan. Do that to Ryan. And we're like, he looks kind of hive-ish. The moths came out when his body came up on the screen. His armor was kind of pointed and bony, kind of looked a little bit hivey to me. So I'm like, we don't know what species he is. He could just be wearing hive-ish armor, but he is very humanoid. So we're not sure exactly. But we also know that his body in particular is being broken apart and wielded as a weapon. It's empowering the fallen initially. And we know that in that is, in Uffinger at least, it empowered Misrax enough to be able to take like control of an entire group of pirates and just terrorize people. So his dead body is being used as weapons, kind of like what we did with a couple of hive gods. We definitely did that to them, put them in a gun, and then started using it. And so if that's the case, if he is hive and he wasn't killed in his throne world, because I doubt he did an Oryx and made his pyramid ship his throne world, he potentially could come back. And then that leads me into my next thing is, if Nezarec isn't hive, but his body's being used kind of like hive, like, are throne worlds only magic of the ascendant hive? Like, is it a thing that only the hive can do, or is it a darkness thing? Because we don't know much about the darkness people. We do know that the hive have had this magic for a while now, and they've been building on throne worlds and all that kind of stuff. But we also know that the queen has an ascendant plane. The Dreaming City has its own ascendant plane. We also know that that Toland can travel about the ascendant plane very freely, and he's a human guardian. Now, going back to Nezarec as a disciple, Rolk, there's no evidence of Rolk using a throne world. He was stuck inside of a throne world, so that might have stopped him from doing anything. Callus in the OG Leviathan raid, he had what now looking back on it seems to be a within his like in the throne room fight. It looks like you went into a Scion mindscape. It looked very similar to a Scion mindscape now from Season of the Risen, where the Scions push us into the mind of the Hive Guardians in order to take them down. And it looks like because there's the 4 Scions on the plates in the throne world that pull you guys into a mindscape against your will, and then some of you can get out. So he also pulls that giant, magnificent face of his out of the mindscape and into the lunar pyramid in Season of the Haunted. So he's able to kind of manifest things that were in his head with looks like psionic powers now that he has himself into the real world. If that was a Scion mindscape, it seems like it was to me, and they just kind of built off of that idea that they had from their original raid into a season. And it just like I'm hoping Nezarec is Hive so that he can come back because he never died in a throne world, because we don't know anything about him. We know that he's a powerful person that was a disciple of the Witness, and that the Fallen found him and are using pieces of him as sources of power, and we'll see what happens with that next week, and definitely see what's happening if all the pieces are going to come together, or we're going to put them back, or we're just going to have all these nuclear weapons sitting in the helm orbiting the moon, full of darkness energy.
Yeah.
We've had worse ideas.
Yeah, with the Crown of Sorrow sitting right there too.
Yep.
Yep. It's interesting that how Mithrax used them to control his other minions to do what he wants to do, and and Ido is like really curious, asks a lot of questions, and like saying how all this stuff we could do if it really is that powerful, like we could power the city, do like extra stuff for Elixir and stuff like that. So I really think if somebody's going to open one, I think it's going to be her.
She is getting a little ahead of herself.
Yeah.
In these last couple weeks, so I'm hoping she doesn't act like a kid.
Yeah.
She asked somebody for help first, but
All right, it's
if you know, you know.
Yeah. It's time for the mailbag. All right, first question here. Overwatch 2 is out. Did you play?
I think if some of us did, we sat in a queue for a little bit and then didn't. I didn't. I was at work.
Yeah.
But I did see all the queue nonsense, and I cracked up. And I'm like, hey man, that reminds me of
Dude,
expansion.
They got DDoS twice. that's so.
Yeah.
That is just. So, I mean, it's effed up, but it's like absolutely hilarious at the same time, because of who it happened to. I've watched probably 2 to 3 hours of YouTube content on people that look like the big Overwatch guys talking about the changes, and seems like it's pretty much Overwatch 1. There's not a whole lot of difference, except instead of 6-player teams, it's 5-player teams, and I can't wait to get in there, man. I like Overwatch. I have a really good time with it. I don't live and die by Overwatch like a lot of people do, but it's a lot easier to get 5 of us on than 6 of us on to try to play it, and I'm sure we'll have a good time when we do play it. It's free to play. It doesn't hurt you anything to try it out, so I definitely think everybody should.
And you keep all your skins, right? As long as your stuff is linked up.
Yep. Yep. And
that's nice.
They've done some cool stuff with like with SMS, to where like I was reading the blog post. Their community managers really have waited out. I'm not sure it's been like that forever, but here, since this has happened, they have been basically they have dropped the SMS requirement. It was like a way to combat cheating to where accounts had to be linked to like a cell phone number. Um, then as long as you logged in and your account was linked with like Bungie dot or BattleNet rather, um, before like a certain date, you didn't have to have the SMS thing, which was supposed to help with queue times and everything. So I don't know. I'll try it out. Eventually, we'll be able to get on without any trouble. And Spider-Man's been keeping me busy in my Destiny off time, so I think I'm up to like 14 hours in that game, and man, that game is it's getting better. I didn't even think it'd be possible to get better, but man, what a game! What an absolute banger of a game.
My wife and I have been talking about a Steam Deck, and I think that's going to be the purchase whenever we finally get a Steam Deck. We're going to get Spider-Man for it.
Yeah, man, it is. That game is. It is. I can't say enough about it. It's probably like it's so like Grand Theft Auto 3, Halo 2. Those games are like generational, like all timers, right? Because of what they did. It's not quite that. It's not like a generational game, but it is whatever the tier below that is, it's at the very top of that tier. It is very, very, very good. And I'm very excited for the Miles Morales DLC that's coming out later this year. And hopefully it gives another 20 or 30 hours. Because man, I love that game. My son likes to watch me play it. He's real big into Spider-Man, and he wants me to kill the bad guys over and over and over. So I've really enjoyed my time with it. It's been a nice break from this terrible Destiny grind.
All right, question 2. What seasonal 6-person activity has been your favorite?
Chad, do you want to go first?
Not really, because there isn't one this year.
It's been about like Menagerie and then Sundial.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Yep, and then you had the Vex one.
That's been our answer all
Vex
the time.
Offensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Vex Offensive.
Yeah, Vex Offensive wasn't bad. The one in the Leviathan was just disgusting. I hated that one.
And then we got Catch Crash. Catch Crash is also a 6-person.
Yeah, Catch Crash isn't bad. I would say it's the upper 40%, upper 30%. I would say, because you've got, at least you have a couple different variations. You get 2 of the 3 middle rooms, and then you get 1 of 3 bosses. So it's got a little bit of variation to it.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather do Catchcraft than the Dares of Eternity.
Okay.
I think Dares runs a little too long for me.
Yeah.
And then when it surprises you with a extra round is
a lightning round. A lightning round at the end.
I do enjoy
the crappy teammates.
The loot out of Dares better than Catch Crash, but as just an activity, I understand what you mean. Yeah, but my favorite one, I would have to pick Sundial, because the way the loot system worked then, you could just run Sundial, then at the end of it, you get to choose like 2 or 3 weapons, and you got to choose your loot.
Yeah, it did kind of work like that, didn't it?
Yeah. That's why
Menagerie was awesome. Like that too.
Yeah,
Menagerie was nice because you could even choose your masterwork and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the Chalice was awesome. I miss it.
All right, if you could rewind 18 months and had a direct line to Bungie, what would you tell them about red border weapons / craftable weapons? Oh man, this is a heck of a question.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Man.
Even though we thought that's what we wanted, don't do it.
I'm okay with craftables. It's the RNG of unlocking it that annoys the heck out of me. I'm like, as soon as it all became RNG based, I'm like, great. Here I am, sitting at 1 fusion rifle from a dungeon I played a ton of.
Epicurean, I assume.
Yeah, I've only gotten 1 red border of it. I've had 1 drop non-red border, and 1 red border.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you would think it is,
Yeah.
but it's like, dude, what? I just can't.
I think
I just can't get anything.
I think a lot. I think that's like a known issue that those were like notoriously low drop rates, right,
They
Jared?
fixed the drop rate, and so I did some extra.
Was that
I
like
played it
is
a
it
bit.
fixed odds? Fixed odds? Is that
Mhm.
Fixed
the
odds and Epicurean, yeah.
machine code? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would I would tell them to keep them out of raids and dungeons. Red borders and crafting should not be in those activities. Neither Nightfalls nor Trials, which is they're not in there and they shouldn't be. I would let them be on open world drops. What I mean by open world drops, like how the where's one at here that everybody uses, is the linear fusion Taipan. So Taipan is
Taipan 4F or whatever.
Yeah, so
4F.
I think. I mean, the
it's open
foundry
world.
weapons should have definitely been. Yeah,
um
100%.
yeah.
Well, the world drop foundry weapons, not the ones that are like crucible only or stuff like that.
Yes. So what I would have done though is Taipan, this triple tap firing line shouldn't be on an open world weapon. That combination should be reserved for Nightfalls, Trials, dungeons, and raids. Like that shouldn't be free for everybody to go get,
Why?
because that's the best weapon in the game for PvE damage. That should be behind doing dungeons, raids, Nightfalls. But instead would be like, all right, you could get triple tap Vorpal, or you could get field prep firing line, but not like the best combinations out there should not be on open world weapons.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I understand where you're coming from as somebody that's like looking for things to do in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, but I think that you can't gatekeep everything, because then people will never continue to play.
But it's
Don't
like
shake your head,
like
talk.
it's like the difference of getting a weapon that's an A tier weapon or an S tier weapon. S tier weapons all behind in game. A tier weapons you can get in like the one combination in open world.
So do you not think that certain perks are already weighted to appear more often than others?
No, they're all random.
You know, you believe that it's equally random,
Yeah, they said
that
that.
each perk,
Bungie said it, so I believe them. So
Bungie doesn't
Yeah.
ever lie.
Yeah.
You're right.
yeah, they don't lie.
I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that every perk is a. I don't believe everything is exactly random. I think there are weights on different perks and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I understand. But yeah, I would you can never have a weapon that's better than the god roll that you can get out of a Nightfall. So like if it's the 140 hand cannon, palindrome, right? This is for K-Tac, for instance. The Austringer that you can craft should never be better than the palindrome, because you can't craft palindrome. So the top tier roll of palindrome should always beat out any craftable 140.
do you think that adept weapons should have advanced mods on them?
I'm okay with some advanced mods as long as they don't change time to kill in PvP. That makes
Or
it.
I guess I should say like enhanced, not
Yeah.
advanced.
Enhanced perks, yeah.
Yeah.
They're fine, because they only, for the most part, they only change like +5 stability, or like kill clip
Right,
might
they're not
last
major changes.
a half a second longer or something. Yeah. Yep.
I think I'd be all right if adept weapons, the whatever perk they had, was treated as the enhanced version of the perk. I think I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that makes some sense. I don't think that's game breaking in any way.
Or the like harrowed or adept versions of the master raids, that would be a way to kind of differentiate between the crafted normal version and the master version of those weapons. You could kind of 5% them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Perhaps that will be a half-baked take one day. Next question. Thoughts on Eager Edge change? I, for one, was absolutely thrilled that they took that away from people. I don't think it was a nerf to the Eager Edge. I think it was a patch to the Eager Edge. And I think that the people that are upset about it are the people that like to shoot you off your map whenever you're in your inventory. And
Well, that doesn't change.
I don't have a
any of
problem.
this.
I think I had a few upset moments a couple weeks ago with the Eager Edge sword. I hate Eager Edge. I wish it never existed. It allows just ignorant things that shouldn't be allowed to happen into the game. And I personally think they should just take the whole thing away and it shouldn't exist at all. Why don't we just change the perk on it like we did with Astral Horizon? Any sword with Eager Edge now becomes surrounded.
All right. So all those things you hate about it is still in the game. That didn't change anything with what was happening here. Only thing it changed, if you're going too fast, if your player is going too fast, you cannot activate Eager Edge.
Hey man. He's being positive for once, okay? Let him have it. Let him be happy.
Yeah, I agree with Bungie on this change 100%.
I mean, Jared's right.
It didn't change it.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that you used to be able to do it like 3 times instead of once, right? Like, I mean, I understand I can still be knocked 6,000 meters away because Unknown decides that he has ADHD and can't just stand at a door and wait for everybody else to get there. Like, I understand that still can happen, but hopefully it makes people not equip the sword at all, and that would just solve the entire problem, and I'll be happy with that.
I mean, you didn't like Borderline Zero Skating either?
No, I didn't like any of that. Like, why do we need to pull a sword out and get in third person and, swing, most people don't even do it correct. They do a macro and that kind of stuff in order to be able to do it. And then, I want to go OB on this raid map and get outside the boundaries and jump on these invisible walls and come through. And then we're going to shave 7 seconds off the time that it takes us to do it normally. Like, why do we need that?
I understand.
Why is that important?
The extreme of what you're frustrated with, Scott, there. But it's fun because how many times have you ran these strikes? How many times have we went through these dungeons, went through these raids, and we did the same thing over and over again, right?
7 years.
So why? This is the one thing that changes it up. You couldn't do this before.
How does it change it up?
Shadowskate.
Oh, I can go 17 meters past the enemies and shoot them in the back instead of shooting them from this. Instead of shooting them from here, I can go past them and then they turn around and look at me and I can shoot them from this area. Like, what's the difference? What is the why
change.
does that?
It's the smallest of changes. We are thirsting after the smallest of changes. That's where we are right now.
Don't you think this is a content issue as opposed to a weapon perk issue?
I mean, I think we all want more content. I don't think the sword thing changes it.
I think if you're saying like, oh, this ruins my enjoyment of the game because now this mixes it up so much that I can shoot enemies from this platform instead of the other platform that's
I don't
15 meters away.
Whenever you short skate, you don't have to shoot anybody. You just move on through it.
You know
I know what I mean, though. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed Eager Edge.
Why do you run strikes other than to complete bounties?
To get the strike
rep
up,
doing that?
to get the extra drop, the extra perks on the weapons. that drop.
But don't you think that it's more of an issue of like you have to run 85 strikes in order to be able to unlock that, as opposed to
Yeah. So
a weapon perk?
I want to do it the most efficiently as possible. So that's me sword skating across the map.
I mean, I don't know, man. I guess I would rather just it only takes 60 strikes to do it, and we still get to kill the stuff and use our weapons that we've got instead of using a sword to just fly past everything and it taking 80.
I mean, I guess just start up an LFG group like no sword skating strike playlist.
I mean, I guess I don't run them. Like, I've given up caring about ornaments for seasonal weapons that I'm never going to use.
Yeah.
So like getting the strike and the gambit and the crucible ornament for the cry mutiny or whatever the weapon is, that I just have given up caring because it doesn't. Yeah, I have to play so much of those playlists in order to unlock those. It's just not worth it to me.
Yeah.
Because once I get to whatever is designated like plus 15 plus pinnacle cap, once I get to that, I just completely give up caring about anything other than the in-game content.
Yeah, I understand that.
So I don't know. I just eager edge, it pisses me off. It pisses me off when people hit me when I'm looking at my menu or trying to pull a weapon over from dim and they pop me off the edge. Like, that's a really good way to hear me take our Lord's name in vain and and other things. If you ever want to hear it, that's the best way to do it. Just knock me off with the sword. So it just it aggravates me, and I wish it was completely removed from the game.
Well, it probably will, because Bungie doesn't like people going fast, doing stuff that with Strand, and doing that grenade with the that you can hold on to, that create your own like rope grappling hook to go around to a map. Like, it's about to get even more nuts whenever that comes back around. So
can't wait for that.
Yeah.
So do you guys think that is this the I believe it has been since we started the podcast, but if you take away year one of Destiny 2, is this the most frustrated the community has been with Bungie?
Oh, man. Would the first sunset be more frustrating?
The first sunset, or
like when
the
the
Destiny content?
when the first sunsetting started happening.
I would say it's probably slightly more, but I think it's pretty close.
Yeah. Because I think the amount of people that came back to the game think that they had all this other stuff to go back and play, and it was gone. And then vaulting of four raids they vaulted? And like
wasn't it? No, it's 4. Leviathan, Crown, Spire, and Eater. And
Scourge.
And Scourge, so 5 raids.
Yeah. I think that had the community way more up in arms than at this moment. But I just think the community is more vocal now than it was then.
I think they've pissed off the top 1% more than they did then.
Yeah, probably.
Like, if you pull up Twitter, or if you follow a bunch of these people on YouTube and you pull up your subscriptions, it is a lot of Bungie bashing.
Okay.
So I think that was the last question, and I think we're done. Am I wrong? Did we miss anything? Did I miss anything? All right, I'm going to let you guys sign off.
All right, that's a heck of an episode. It's one a little bit longer. We've usually cut them short because we just had straight up less to talk about, but a lot more debate this time around. And I enjoyed it. And hopefully we got more of these moving forward. And Grandmasters are out, so we'll be diving into those. If you need some help or just recommendations on loadouts, we can help you with that. But right now, I would say for Glassway, if you had somebody with, Chad, why did I just forget the name? I told you about it before we
Monarch,
started.
Monarch.
Yeah, Law Monarch with overload on your arms for bows. Additional, I think Esoteric has a video out on it too. It does some extra damage. It's just really easy. Pair that with a blinding grenade launcher, and you're gonna have a lot more easier time with those wyverns coming into the room.
Yep, and definitely keep your eyes open for what might happen next week. If you want a spoiler-free time, definitely wait until you get home and play on Tuesday. There's going to be lots of stuff posted on Reddit about it if something actually significant happens, or literally if anything happens to Ido at all whatsoever, you will read about it somewhere. So try to stay spoiler-free if you want, or not. Either way, it'll be a fun time next week lore-wise, and then shortly after that, we'll be talking about the Festival of the Lost.
Go Cats. Love you guys.